All right, this is Pedram, and today I'm going to talk about VS Code extensions. In part 1, we said that VS Code is an editor, meaning that you can write a code in it, you can edit the code, however, you cannot run your code yet, right? So in order to do that, you need to add some languages like C, Python, R, and etc. And of course, you need to add some tools to your installations. We're going to call these external tools extensions. Basically, the idea is that you're going to extend your Visual Studio Code editor to an IDE or integrated development environment. So let's see how we can do that. I'm going to go ahead and open my VS Code. So as you remember, last time we said that it's a better idea to make your projects in a new workspace. So let me go ahead and make a new workspace. So by going over this file and click on open folder, I'm gonna go to my desktop and make a new folder. I'm gonna call it workspace and maybe underscore YouTube. So this is my YouTube workspace, right? And then I'm gonna go ahead and select this folder. Now this is my workspace YouTube or YouTube workspace. So basically here I can go ahead and make new folders inside this workspace. So I can go ahead and click on this new folder. Let's say, I don't know, I'm gonna make a Python folder in it. And inside this Python folder, I can make some new files by clicking on this new file thing. You can go to file and then press new file or do Control N. So there are different ways to make a new file. So I can go ahead and press new file. And I'm going to call it test.py. So right now I have a Python file in this folder in my workspace. And as you can see, as soon as I generate a Python file, VS Code is going to suggest me that, okay, do you want to install the recommended extensions for Python? So right now I'm going to go ahead and close it because I want to show you something. So right now if I say, okay, print, let's say hello world. As you can see, this is an editor. This is a Python editor. I can say this is my X variable. I don't know, test some values and etc. And I can define some functions and everything that you can do in Python. However, I cannot run this file yet. This is just an editor. So I can write my code, I can save this, and then if I close it, next time when I open it, yes, of course it's there. So right now the VS Code is an editor. So as you can see, when I right click, there is no run button here, or there is no run here. So I can see there's this run, but I cannot run the Python yet because I don't have that Python extension installed. Okay. All right, so the first thing I need to do is to install that Python extension. In order to do that, I go to the view and open extensions, or simply I can click on these squares. These are the extensions, right? Right now, I don't have any extensions installed. You see the number of extensions installed is 0. And here are the popular extensions available on VS Code. So as you can see, Python is one of the most popular extensions out there. It has been down. So if I click on any of these extensions, you will see the documentation, right? So it says that this is a verified extension by Microsoft, and it has been more than 52 million downloads of this extension, and this is the ranking. Okay, I want you to pay attention to the reviews, and sometimes it's a good idea that before installing a package or extension, just read the reviews. And for these more famous ones like Python or Jupyter, well, if these are the verified ones, we're going to go ahead and install them because we know that these are heavily used. So, and some of these Python extensions are related with each other. Let me actually go ahead and type Python. So for example, if you want to install Python extensions, you just look for some Python. You can, if you want to install some R extensions, you go to R. If you want to do some, I don't know, Rust extensions, you can go ahead and install some Rust extensions here. You can also install some tools as well. So for example, you want to open a PDF or open an Excel. So you can install this Excel viewer extensions. Or you want to change the themes, you can go ahead and click on these material icon. So these are more famous extensions, right? Right now, let's focus on the Python extension. So I'm going to go ahead and type Python, and I'll install a bunch of these extensions. Some of them are related to each other. So when I install one of them, multiple of them are going to be installed simultaneously. So let me go ahead and show you the documentation for Python, for example. And I encourage you to, when you want to install any extension, to go ahead and read the documentation by scrolling down. Usually there is this interactive window here, show you what's going on. And then you can also click on this link here. It's going to navigate you to the web page. And so right now I'm going to go ahead and press install. And as you can see, when this thing is being installed, automatically multiple of these Pythons are going to be installed. So right now we installed the first one, which is the Pylance. And now that it's already up and running, you can disable it or enable it. Right now it's enabled automatically. You can uninstall it, or you can switch to a pre-release version. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and install a bunch of other Python extensions. So another one that I need is this one, Python extension pack. So this pack is going to install all these Python related things. So automatically it's going to install the 6 of them. So let's go ahead and install it. As you can see, all of them are being installed. And I'm gonna go ahead and install the Python viewer as well. So let's actually look at one of them together. So this Python viewer, you see, basically you have a Python code here. You can right click on your code and say open in viewer. And now you can, while you're typing, you can see what are the outputs, right? So this is also one of the very useful extensions for Python as well. So I'm going to go ahead and install this one too. And let's see, what else do I need? And I think that's pretty much it for now. You know, if I need anything else down the road, it's going to be automatically suggested on the fly for me. And what I want to let you know that this thing has been, you know, actually downloaded 4 million times. But look at the review. It's only 2 stars. And when you read the reviews, I just clicked on it. Multiple people are basically claiming that this doesn't work. You know, it will break the syntax highlighting on your computer and etc. So even though this is a very famous one in terms of number of downloads or installs, I don't recommend you to install this one yet, and you don't need it, frankly. Okay, now that I have installed all these things, these extensions, I can go ahead. Let me actually close this extension, minimize the popular ones. So these are so right now I have 13 extensions installed on my computer. So I have Jupyter, I have Jupyter Keymap, you know, Python related extensions, Pathfinder, and etc. Visual Studio Intelligence, and etc. IntelliCode. Okay, so then I can go ahead and come to my, go back to my test.py. And now look at that, there is this new button here, right? So before installing that Python extension, there was no play or run button. Now we have this run button. So literally by installing that extensions, our VS Code turns into an IDE. So it's not an editor anymore, it's an IDE now. So I can go ahead and say, let's run the first line, we'll print hello world. I'm gonna go ahead and click on this little thing and run Python file. Okay. So when you run it for the first time, as you can see, nothing is going on here. Let me click on it. So it says that you may get this error, right? Because it says the system cannot find the path specified. So basically, even though you have the Python extension installed and you have a Python file open and ready to be run, but we are missing one more thing, and that's basically the Python interpreter. So I assume that everyone has already installed a Python program on their computer, either using Python directly or installing it through Python Anaconda. So I highly encourage you to install Python through Anaconda. And it should be pretty straightforward to do that. You know, now that you're learning things in VS Code, I assume that you are a sophisticated learner, so you should be able to install these programs on your computer on your own. But if you have any questions, just let me know. So let's say you have installed Python through Anaconda into your computer, and then you need to specify the interpreters. You need to select the Python interpreter. So how do you do that? So do you remember I said that, let me actually show you something here. There are two shortcut keys that we are going to use quite often. The first one is Control-Shift-P. Basically, this is your command palette. If I do Control-Shift-P, it's right now it's waiting for me to type something, right? And the other one is your Control and backslash. No, this is this little thing here, and basically it goes to your settings. So I can go to setting either by doing Control this, or I click on this setting and by clicking on this setting thing. So these are the two things that we're going to use very frequently in the future videos, right? So let me go ahead and run the command by Control-Shift-P, and I'm going to select interpreter. So select interpreter. Okay, so as you can see, this is coming from a Python extension. So both in Jupyter and Python extension, there's this command called select interpreter. Now, because this is a Python code, I'm going to go ahead and select interpreter. Let me actually open the file first. And now I'm going to go ahead and select the interpreter. So you need to do this one once. So when I click on the select interpreter, you see I have two options. One of them is Python 3.9, and it's through a Conda environment. And well, actually I only have Conda environment on this computer. So on your computer there might be different, but right now I have two environments. In a separate video, I'm gonna show you how you can make your own environment. But for now, let's stick to the base environment. Most probably you're gonna have a base environment on your computer as well. Just click on that interpreter. So when I click on this, let's see what happens. Okay, so as soon as I click on that interpreter, there is this little thing here now. It says that, okay, the language is Python and your interpreter is Python 3.9.7. And this is in your base environment, your root environment, right? And now if I go ahead and run this file, it should not complain. All right, so our code is run properly, and the first line of code is hello world, right? Now I can go ahead and add some other stuff as well. So for example, I can say, okay, I can define my own function. Let's say define add, and I'm gonna add two numbers, right? So basically this is a simple example. I'm going to return x plus y. Okay. And then here, let's say add two numbers, 10 and 15. Okay, so we can go ahead and click on this run file. We should be able to see the answer. So of course I need to print this out, right? So let's print this out and see if our code is running properly. Okay, so hello world, and the output of the function is going to be 25. So 10 plus 15 is 25. All right, now our code is running and we made our first Python code together in VS Code. So our VS Code is not an editor anymore. It's an IDE, Integrated Development Environment. All right, in the future videos, I'll talk about a bunch of other extensions and then we gradually improve. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below.